Can I tell you something I've never told anyone?
This is going to be good.
The first time I went through US immigration, and I'm American, I live here, I still got nervous.
You got nervous at your own country's immigration?
I know how that sounds, but there's something about that line. The uniforms, the serious faces, the booths, everyone is quiet, nobody is making eye contact, and you're just standing there thinking, did I do something wrong? Am I on a list somewhere?
And you haven't done anything wrong.
I haven't done anything wrong. I live here, and I was still sweating.
So imagine doing that in your second language.
Right. Imagine doing that when English is not your first language, you've been on a 14-hour flight, you're exhausted, and a uniformed officer is staring at you, waiting for an answer.
That's the situation a lot of our listeners are in.
And here's the thing. The immigration process is actually very predictable. The questions are almost always the same. The process follows a clear sequence. Once you know what's coming, the anxiety drops by about 80%.
And the other 20%?
You just breathe through.
Today, we are walking you through the entire U.S. immigration and customs experience, from the moment you land to the moment you walk out of the airport.
Every step, every question, what to say, what not to say, and the culture behind all of it. I'm Mark.
And I'm Sarah. Welcome to Culture Code English.
Okay, so let's start before you even get to immigration. You're still on the plane, and two things are happening.
First, they hand you the customs declaration form.
Which for a lot of people is already stressful.
And second, your neighbor might ask you why you're going to America.
Let's take the form first.
Most international flights into the U.S. will give you a paper customs declaration form on the plane. Some airports now use electronic kiosks instead, but the questions are the same.
And there are a few spots on this form that confuse people every time.
First one, purpose of visit.
The options are usually tourism, business, or other.
If you're visiting for vacation, seeing friends, or sightseeing, you write tourism.
Not visiting friends, not holiday, not sightseeing, just tourism.
Keep it simple. One-word answers on this form are always better than explanations.
Second confusing spot, address while in the U.S.
A lot of people panic here because they're staying with different friends in different cities, or they booked an Airbnb and don't have the address memorized.
What do you write?
Write your first night's address. Hotel, Airbnb, friend's house, whatever your first stop is. That's all they need.
And if you genuinely don't know yet?
Write the name of the city you're flying into. New York, NY is acceptable. The form is a starting point, not a legal contract.
American social tip here.
The customs declaration form exists to give officers a quick picture of who is arriving and why. They are not reading every word carefully. They're looking for red flags, large amounts of undeclared cash, restricted food items, commercial goods. If you're a tourist with normal luggage, your form is one of thousands. Fill it out honestly, keep your answers simple, and don't overthink it.
Okay, this one is lower stakes, but it comes up a lot. You're sitting on the plane and the person next to you asks, "So, are you visiting or do you live there?"
Or, what brings you to the States?
And some people freeze because they're not sure how much to say.
The answer is not much. Keep it short and warm.
Like what?
Just visiting, vacation, or going to see some friends, or first time in the US, pretty excited.
That last one is great because it invites the other person to give you tips.
Americans love giving travel tips. Say you're visiting for the first time, and you'll have recommendations for the next 3 hours.
Genuinely.
Just visiting. Vacation.
Say it with me.
Just visiting. Vacation. Just visiting. Vacation.
Short, friendly, done.
First time in the US, pretty excited.
Say it with me. First time in the US. Pretty excited.
First time in the US, pretty excited.
Perfect. That's all you need.
Okay, you've landed, you're off the plane, and now you're in the immigration hall.
And this place has a very specific energy.
It's quiet, it's serious, there are signs everywhere telling you to have your documents ready. Officers in uniform are watching the lines.
And your job right now is very simple. Follow the signs, stay in your line, have your passport and declaration form ready.
That's it. Don't try to chat with other people in line. Don't get on your phone. Just move forward calmly.
So you're in line,
And it's moving slowly, and someone near you looks confused about which line to join.
This happens. There's usually a line for U.S. citizens and a separate line for visitors.
If you're not sure which line is yours, you can ask the officer standing near the entrance. And here's how you do it without looking panicked.
You walk up calmly and say, "Excuse me, which line for international visitors?"
Short, calm, specific.
"Excuse me, which line for international visitors?"
Say it with me.
"Excuse me, which line for international visitors?" "Excuse me, which line for international visitors?"
The officer will point you in the right direction. They do this hundreds of times a day.
And here's something important. The way you carry yourself in line actually matters.
What do you mean?
Officers are watching the lines before you even get to the booth. Someone who looks extremely nervous, keeps checking their phone, or is whispering frantically to their travel companion, that draws attention.
Not saying you'll get stopped, but calm and relaxed is always better.
Stand normally. Have your documents out. Look like someone who has done this before, even if you haven't.
American social tip.
Immigration lines in American airports are very multicultural. Officers deal with hundreds of different languages, accents, and backgrounds every single day. They are trained for this. Your accent is not a problem. Your English doesn't need to be perfect. What matters is that you are calm, honest, and direct. An officer would rather hear simple, clear answers than perfect grammar delivered with obvious terror.
Okay, you're at the front of the line. The officer waves you forward. You walk up to the booth.
First thing, make eye contact and say hi.
Just hi or hello. That's it.
Don't say, "Good morning, sir. How are you today? I hope you're having a wonderful day."
Which sounds polite, but reads as nervous.
One word, hi. Hand over your passport, let them lead.
The officer will take your passport, look at it, and then look at you. This is normal. They're matching your face to the photo.
Don't explain yourself during this pause. Don't start talking. Just wait.
Americans are very comfortable with silence in official settings. The pause is not a problem. Let the officer speak first.
When you hand over your passport, you can say,
Here you go.
say it with me. Here you go.
Here you go.
That's all. 2 words. Warm, natural. Done.
Before we go through the questions, there's one thing we need to warn you about.
Sometimes the officer won't ask a full question.
They'll just say 2 words.
Business or pleasure?
And if you've never heard this before, it sounds like a strange question.
Business or pleasure is one of the most classic immigration phrases in American English. It simply means, what is the purpose of your visit? Are you here for work or are you here for fun?
That's it. 2 options.
If you're a tourist, you say pleasure or vacation. If you're here for work, business.
Pleasure.
Say it with me. Pleasure.
Pleasure.
You don't need to explain further unless they ask. 1-word answer. Keyword strategy from the start.
Business or pleasure?
Pleasure.
That exchange takes 3 seconds. Now, here's the part everyone is most worried about. The questions.
And here's what we want you to understand before we go through them.
The immigration hall is loud. The officer has been working for hours. They have 50 more people behind you.
They do not want a speech. They want keywords.
This is the most important strategy in this entire video. We're calling it the keyword strategy.
The shorter your answer, the fewer mistakes you can make. The fewer mistakes you make, the faster you get through.
Here's the difference.
Wrong approach. I am planning to stay for approximately 2 weeks because I am visiting some friends who live in California, and we are going to travel around a little bit.
That sounds like you're reciting from a textbook. And it gives the officer more things to ask follow-up questions about.
Right approach. 2 weeks, visiting friends.
4 words. Covers everything. Nothing to follow up on.
2 weeks, visiting friends.
Say it with me. 2 weeks, visiting friends.
2 weeks, visiting friends.
Now, let's go through every standard question with the keyword strategy.
Wrong. I am coming to America for tourism purposes and also to visit some friends and see some famous places.
Right. Tourism. Or vacation. Or visiting friends.
Tourism.
Vacation.
Visiting friends.
1 word. That's the whole answer.
Wrong.
I am planning to stay for about 2 weeks, maybe a little longer if everything goes well.
Maybe a little longer. Never say this.
That phrase will get you a follow-up question every single time.
Right. 2 weeks. Or 10 days. Or about a month.
Give a specific number. Specific is calm. Vague is suspicious.
2 weeks.
Say it with me. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Wrong. I'm not exactly sure yet. I think maybe a hotel, but also possibly with some friends. I haven't fully decided.
This answer will stop the line.
Right. Hotel in New York. Or friend's place in LA. Or Airbnb in Chicago.
City plus accommodation type. That's all.
Hotel in New York.
Say it with me. Hotel in New York.
Hotel in New York.
Right. Yes. And if they ask when, just say the date. March 15th.
Don't explain the whole itinerary. Yes. Date, done.
Yes. March 15th.
Say it with me. Yes. March 15th.
Yes. March 15th.
One more thing about the return ticket question.
If you have an e-ticket, which most people do now, print it out before you fly.
Seriously, print it.
Officers technically can ask to see your return ticket, and while they can look at your phone, most of them prefer not to touch it.
A printed copy is clean, fast, and professional. It also shows you came prepared.
Which is exactly the energy you want to give at immigration.
Fold it with your passport before you land. Ready to go.
American social tip here. Showing a printed return ticket without being asked is one of those small moves that signals, I know what I'm doing. It won't get you through faster necessarily, but it removes one potential friction point completely.
Right, yes, twice. Or no, first time.
If yes and they ask when, just say the year. 2022.
First time.
Yes, twice. Last time, 2022.
Say it with me. First time.
First time.
Right. Yes, a cousin in Texas. Or no, just friends.
Short, specific, true.
American social tip.
The keyword strategy works because immigration officers are trained to listen for inconsistencies, not vocabulary. When you give long answers, you create more opportunities for something to sound inconsistent, even if everything you're saying is completely true. Short answers are not rude. They are not suspicious. They are exactly what the officer needs. Think of it like texting, not essay writing. Keywords only.
Okay, we need to talk about something Sarah calls the follow-up trap.
Sometimes the officer won't stop at one question.
They'll ask where you're staying, then ask what your friend does for work, then ask how you met, then ask how long you've known them.
And this can feel like you're being interrogated.
Why do they do this?
Here's the culture code. They're not actually trying to find information about your friend.
They're watching you.
Specifically, they're watching whether your answers feel natural or feel rehearsed.
Someone who is telling the truth answers follow-up questions the same way they answered the first question.
Calmly, simply, consistently.
Someone who prepared a scripted answer sometimes gets rattled when the follow-up goes off their script.
So the preparation strategy is, don't memorize answers. Know your trip.
Know your actual trip, where you're actually staying, who you're actually seeing, what you're actually planning to do.
If you know your trip, you can answer any follow-up question because the answer is just the truth.
And the truth is always the easiest thing to keep consistent.
American social tip.
Immigration officers are very good at reading people. Not because they're mind readers, but because they do this 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. They've seen every nervous traveler and every person who is actually hiding something.
The nervous tourist and the person with something to hide can look the same on the surface.
What separates them is consistency. The nervous tourist story stays the same under follow-up. The person hiding something starts to shift.
So your job is simple. Know your trip. Tell the truth. Stay calm.
The follow-up questions are actually your friend if you're honest. They give you more chances to show you're exactly who you say you are.
Okay, what if the officer says something and you just don't understand?
This happens. Immigration officers sometimes speak quickly, have strong regional accents, or use official language that sounds different from everyday English.
And the worst thing you can do is nod and pretend you understood.
Because your answer to a question you didn't understand might not make sense, and that creates a problem.
So what do?
You say, "Sorry, could you repeat that?"
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Say it with me. "Sorry, could you repeat that?"
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Or, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch that."
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Say it with me. "I'm sorry, I didn't catch that."
And if you need them to slow down, could you speak a little slower, please?
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 These phrases are completely normal. Officers hear them all day. Asking for clarification is not a red flag. Answering the wrong question because you didn't want to admit you didn't understand, that can be.
And if you've tried, could you repeat that? You've tried, could you speak slower? And you're still completely lost?
There is one more option.
You can ask, is there a translator available?
Is there a translator available?
Say it with me. Is there a translator available?
Is there a translator available?
Or more specifically, do you have a Mandarin translator? Do you have a Cantonese translator?
Do you have a Mandarin translator?
Say it with me. Do you have a Mandarin translator?
Do you have a Mandarin translator?
Major international airports are required to provide language assistance. It may take a few minutes, but it's your right to ask.
This is your last line of defense, and knowing it exists should take away a significant amount of anxiety before you even board the plane.
You are never completely alone in that booth. You have options.
Okay, this is the part of the video that might save you from a very long afternoon.
There are certain words and phrases that will immediately make an immigration officer pay much closer attention to you.
Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because these words are associated with visa violations and entry issues.
We're calling these the taboo words.
First one, and this is the biggest one, never say the word work unless you have a work visa.
Even casually, even as a joke.
If an officer asks what you're doing in the US and you say, "Oh, just a little work and some vacation," that conversation is going to get much longer.
Even if you mean you're going to do some freelance calls from your laptop in your hotel room, don't say work, say vacation.
Second taboo phrase, I might stay longer if I like it.
We mentioned this earlier. Any suggestion that you might overstay your visa is an immediate flag.
Even if you're joking, especially if you're joking.
Immigration is not the place for jokes. We cannot say this clearly enough.
I learned this the hard way. Not at immigration, but I once watched a guy in line ahead of me say to the officer, "Last time I liked it so much I didn't want to leave." Just as a joke, being friendly.
What happened?
He got pulled out of line. Took about an hour to sort out.
The officer has heard every joke. None of them land.
Third taboo area, anything about bringing things for other people.
I'm carrying this for my friend. My aunt asked me to bring this. Someone gave me this to deliver.
These phrases, even completely innocent ones, are associated with smuggling, always.
If you're carrying something someone gave you and you're not sure what it is, declare it. Always.
Which brings us to the most famous taboo item in Asian travel culture.
The cured meat situation.
The cured meat situation. So a listener told us about this. Her grandmother packed her a beautiful homemade cured pork, la ro, as a gift, wrapped carefully with love.
Customs found it.
Customs found it, confiscated, gone.
The rule is most meat products, fresh or cured, cannot enter the U.S. It doesn't matter how it's packed or how much love went into it.
Declare it anyway. Declare everything you're unsure about.
Here's the culture code on declaration. In America, declaring something is not an admission of guilt. It's following the rules. Officers respect people who declare honestly far more than people who try to sneak things through.
If you declare something and it's not allowed, they confiscate it. That's the end of it.
If you don't declare something and they find it, that's a much bigger problem.
American social tip.
The single most effective strategy at U.S. Customs is this: be boring. The officer's job is to find interesting cases. You want to be the most uninteresting person they see all day. Short answers, honest declarations, calm demeanor. You're a tourist. You have nothing to hide. Act like it.
Okay, one more situation we need to cover, and this is one that causes a lot of unnecessary panic.
Secondary inspection.
If an officer says, "Could you come with me, please?" or hands you a slip of paper and directs you to another area, that's secondary inspection.
And the first thing we want to say is, this is not as dramatic as it sounds.
Secondary inspection happens for all kinds of reasons. Your paperwork was incomplete. Your name matches someone else in the system. The officer just had a question they wanted more time to ask.
Most secondary inspections resolve quickly and without any issue.
So what do you say when you're directed to secondary?
You say, "Of course," and you go.
Don't ask why. Don't get defensive. Don't pull out your phone to call someone.
"Of course," and follow the officer.
Of course.
Say it with me. Of course.
Of course.
In secondary inspection, the same rules apply. Short answers, honest answers, calm demeanor.
They might ask more detailed questions about your trip, your finances, your connections in the US.
Answer each one the same way. Keyword strategy. Short, honest, specific.
American social tip.
Being directed to secondary inspection feels frightening, but it is a routine part of border management. Officers are not trying to ruin your trip. They have a job to do, and sometimes that job requires more time. The people who have the hardest time in secondary inspection are usually the ones who become defensive or evasive. Calm, cooperative, and honest gets you through fastest.
You're through immigration, you've got your passport back. Now you need your bags.
Baggage claim is usually right after immigration in most U.S. airports. Follow the signs.
And most of the time, everything is fine. Your bag comes out, you grab it, you move on.
But sometimes
The bag doesn't come.
if your bag doesn't appear after all the other bags from your flight have come out, find a baggage claim officer. They're usually standing near the carousels.
And you say, "Excuse me, my bag didn't come out. I was on flight," and give your flight number.
Excuse me, my bag didn't come out.
Say it with me. "Excuse me, my bag didn't come out."
Excuse me, my bag didn't come out.
They will direct you to the baggage claim office to file a report.
And if your bag came out damaged,
You say, "Excuse me, my bag came out damaged. Can I report this?"
my bag came out damaged. Can I report this?
Say it with me. "My bag came out damaged. Can I report this?"
My bag came out damaged. Can I report this?
Always report damage before you leave the airport. Once you leave, it becomes much harder to make a claim.
One thing we didn't mention, what happens right after you pick up your bags?
In some airports, after you collect your luggage and before you hand in your declaration form, there's a final checkpoint.
An officer might randomly pull you aside and say, "Can I take a look at your bags?"
This is a random luggage check. It's not targeted. It's not because you did anything wrong.
If this happens, you say, "Of course," and open your bags calmly.
Don't make a lot of noise. Don't start explaining everything before they ask. Let them look. Answer questions when asked.
Of course. No problem.
Say it with me. Of course. No problem.
Of course. No problem.
And one more thing. When you walk out of the customs area into arrivals, keep your voice down until you're fully through. The area right at the exit is still within customs jurisdiction.
Save the celebration for when you're in the arrivals hall.
Then you can be as loud as you want.
Okay, you have your bags, now you go through customs.
You hand your declaration form to the customs officer. They look at it. They might ask you a question or two, or they might just wave you through.
The question everyone is most nervous about.
Do you have anything to declare?
If you declared everything on your form, you say, "No, it's all on the form."
No, it's all on the form.
Say it with me. No, it's all on the form.
No, it's all on the form.
If you have something to declare that you wrote on the form, you say, "Yes, I have," and mention what it is.
Yes, I have some food items. Yes, I have gifts worth about $200.
Yes, I have some food items.
Say it with me. Yes, I have some food items.
Yes, I have some food items.
The cash rule. If you're carrying more than $10,000 in cash or equivalent, you must declare it. This is not a limit on how much you can bring. It's a reporting requirement.
Not declaring more than $10,000 is a serious offense. Declaring it is not.
Okay, we need to talk about the question everyone actually has, but nobody asks out loud.
Do I need to declare this?
Specifically, the things in the gray zone.
So let's go through the most common ones.
Medication.
If you're carrying personal medication, prescription, or over-the-counter, you generally don't need to declare it as long as it's a reasonable personal supply. Keep it in the original packaging if possible. If it's a controlled substance, carry your prescription.
What about Chinese medicine, herbal supplements?
This is where it gets tricky. Declare it. If it contains any animal products or unidentified plant material, declare it. The officer will look at it and usually wave you through. But if you don't declare it and they find it, that's a much bigger problem.
Tea.
Plain tea leaves, usually fine, no need to declare. Tea with fruit pieces, flowers, or herbal mixtures, declare it under food products.
Snacks. Packaged food.
Commercially packaged and sealed food from a store, usually fine. Homemade food, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, fresh meat of any kind, declare it or leave it at home.
The golden rule.
If you're asking yourself, do I need to declare this? The answer is yes, declare it. The worst that happens is they say it's fine and wave you through.
I'd like to declare some food items.
Say it with me. I'd like to declare some food items.
I'd like to declare some food items.
That phrase alone covers almost everything.
Sometimes the customs officer will ask you a few questions beyond the form.
Standard ones include,
Did you pack your own bags?
right answer, yes.
Has anyone given you anything to carry?
Right answer, no. If yes, declare it and explain honestly.
Are you bringing any food or agricultural products?
Right answer, either no or yes, I declared it on the form.
Notice the pattern. All of these answers are one or two words.
Keyword strategy, all the way to the exit.
Yes, I packed my own bags.
Say it with me. Yes, I packed my own bags.
Yes, I packed my own bags. American social tip.
U.S. Customs officers have seen everything, truly everything. The person trying to smuggle something is never as clever as they think. The honest traveler with an unusual item who declares it openly almost always walks right through. Declaration is your friend. It is designed to protect travelers, not trap them.
You've done it. You're through customs. You walk through the doors and you're in the arrivals hall.
And now the real America begins.
If someone is picking you up, they'll be waiting in the arrivals area or the cell phone lot outside.
If you can't find them, don't panic. Step to the side, out of the flow of traffic, and call or text.
If you need to ask someone where to go, find an airport information desk or ask a uniformed airport employee.
And you say, "Excuse me, where is the arrivals pickup area?"
Excuse me, where is the arrivals pickup area?
Say it with me. "Excuse me, where is the arrivals pickup area?"
Excuse me, where is the arrivals pickup area?
Or, if you need ground transportation, "Excuse me, where can I get a taxi or rideshare?"
Where can I get a taxi or rideshare?
Say it with me. "Where can I get a taxi or rideshare?"
Where can I get a taxi or rideshare?
One more situation. You've landed, you're tired, something has gone wrong, and you need help.
Find the airport information desk. Every major U.S. airport has one. They're usually marked with a large I symbol.
Walk up and say, "Hi, I just arrived and I need some help. I'm not sure where to go."
"Hi, I just arrived and I need some help."
Say it with me. "Hi, I just arrived and I need some help."
"Hi, I just arrived and I need some help."
That phrase alone will get you everything you need. Airport information staff are there specifically for this.
And if you're overwhelmed and your English is leaving you, it's okay to say, "I'm sorry, my English is not very strong. Can you speak slowly?"
I'm sorry, my English is not very strong. Can you speak slowly?
"I'm sorry, my English is not very strong. Can you speak slowly?" Asking for help is never weakness. In American culture, it's efficiency. Before we wrap up, we want to give you the one mindset shift that makes everything easier.
The U.S. immigration and customs process is not designed to catch you. It's designed to process millions of travelers efficiently and identify the very small number of people who are genuinely trying to cause problems.
If you are a normal traveler with normal luggage and a normal reason for visiting, you are not who they're looking for.
The anxiety you feel is normal. Every single person in that line feels it to some degree, even people who have done it 100 times.
But here's what separates the people who sail through from the people who get stopped for extra questions.
It's not their English level.
It's their energy. Calm, direct, honest energy gets you through every single time.
Short answers, true answers, calm face.
That's the whole strategy.
So we started with me, an American, sweating through immigration at my own country's airport.
We did start there.
And I think about why that happens. Why does that place make everyone nervous?
Because it feels like a test.
Exactly. It feels like a test you might fail. But here's what I know now that I didn't know then.
It's not a test of your English. It's not a test of your intelligence.
It's a process, a predictable, repeatable process. And you just walk through every single step of it.
If I had to leave you with one thing from today,
Just one.
be boring. The most interesting thing about you to a customs officer should be nothing. You're a tourist. You're excited to be in America. You have a return ticket. You declared your snacks.
You declared your snacks?
And you're going to have a wonderful trip.
That's the whole thing.
All right, your turn. Tell us in the comments, are you planning a trip to the US or have you been through US immigration before? What was your experience like?
We want to hear your stories. The good ones, the stressful ones, all of it.
We'll see you in the next one.
See you next time.